Three, two, one. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back. Week 7, pay for play. Your boys are in the building. We got an original cast member in the building. Sosa is back. We got a slate. Everything in life is good right now, man. So if everything in life is good, please make it even better for us and follow us at Pay for Play right here. Please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube at Win the Day TV. Sam, Sosa, and our boy JD back in the building, repping the left coast. JD, how you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling absolutely tremendous. Feels good to have a reunion. Miss being on the show. We're making up for lost time today, and it's beautiful. Of course, Notre Dame's playing. Of course, me and Sosa are going to talk about that. The Ducks are playing Ohio State. This is the best. This is the best week of the season so far, right? So it's a perfect time to join on.
Absolutely, absolutely, easily the best slate. So we'll get into it a little bit. Sam, how you doing? How you feeling? I see what you repping.
Got to break the bomber jacket out for the first time this year. Feels good to throw it back on. Gonna have a live environment tonight in Death Valley. I'm looking forward to it. Juices are flowing. It's gonna be a great day for college football.
Yeah, look, it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a big one. Sosa, you're back. Week off. How you feeling?
I'm on top of the world looking down on creation, man. You know, we're gonna go 3 for 3 over a 3-day span. Niners, Dodgers, Notre Dame. You know, so I'm excited, and I'm always excited to do the show with y'all. But like when the goat pulls up, it's always a better Saturday, man. It's always great to see JD. If y'all aren't already rocking with him like we are, check him out on covers. If you're not familiar already, I think y'all should be based on this channel in particular. So, make sure you guys are locked in. Like I was saying, man, like I'm busy like reading all your work. I haven't seen you on here or like on like YouTube often. You know what I mean? It's still like, and I still always like faithfully lock in to see what it is you're doing, because I know it's a great source for college football information. You really live, eat, and breathe this stuff outside of taking care of your little ones.
Yes, there we go. Absolutely, man. It's an experience. So we're happy to be here. I hope y'all are happy to be here. Again, if you're on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up. You got to collapse the chat and make sure you hit the thumbs up, not the heart. That's just the weird like. I don't know what that is, but hit the thumbs up, okay? That's what gets us to paid promotion and things like that. But we got a big show. Okay. And yes, JD pulled up. Yeah. So you should have saw. I wish I would have been recording when he joined the chat, because Sosa's face, it's like you saw a ghost. All right. So look, we mean business today. We're not playing around with y'all. So we'll do what we usually do, and we'll review week 6 in college football. Last week was a good one. Sam.
Oh man,
the Vanderbilt Commodores. Now, a lot of y'all are gonna call me a hater, okay? Because we lost to them the week before, and then they lost to Vandy. I don't care. Call me whatever you want. They lost to Vanderbilt.
That literally has no reason. That's not the reason why we call you a hater. You just are. Like it has nothing to do with last week.
It's okay. I mean,
it's the greatest hate watch I've ever had. I don't care what anyone says. It was incredible.
It's going down in my hate watch Hall of Fame.
Start. Yes, 100%. I mean, Malachi Moore just having a meltdown in the middle of the field, acting like a little crybaby bitch. Like, come on, man!
Right here,
that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh man, I've prayed for it for so long, and like they've lost like in championships and stuff. But that one just felt so good to watch Alabama lose. And now, like, all their fans are, like, criticizing DeBoer for his fucking wardrobe choice. Wearing a T-shirt on the sidelines. Like, that's what they're going after him. I love it. Everyone else has been there at some point in their life. Alabama fans, for the most part, haven't. So, yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. We'd love to see it.
Sam, and then they showed up in the press conference all in polos. They're so scared of them people. I try to tell people, look, if you forgot about pre-Saban Alabama, don't you worry, Bubba. You sit right there. Don't move. All right. They about to show y'all how they used to be pre-2007. Trust me, they are.
And Diego Pavia one of the all-time post-game interviews. I mean, dude went from starting this monologue of, when I was 6 years old, I had a vision from God, and I followed that step every step of the way, all the way to, man, look at this, Vandy, we fucking turned, like on a live mic, and it was incredible. I mean, one of the all-time post-game interviews. Loved it. Every second of it is just injecting it all into my veins.
I love it. JD, how'd you feel about that? What were you watching the game, or were you kind of just, previewing and browsing it?
Of course, yeah. I got my 7 screens going on, and this was on one of them. It was on one of the smaller ones. And then at some point, you're like, yeah, this is a problem, man. Like, if they don't score here, because Vandy's going to sit on the ball for 8 minutes, and they're scoring every drive. So if you go like one possession without scoring or without a touchdown. No, the funniest part of that, I'm glad you called out the Malachi Moore, because you could see it loading. Like, you're watching him, he's kind of freaking out. You're like, is anyone noticing this? Why is this guy still on the field? And then you're like, what's he doing over there? Is he gonna go shake someone's hand? And then he just kicks the ball. That was hilarious. That was perfect.
And then to mimic the ref throwing the flag too right after that. Like, dude was having an all-time meltdown.
I don't know why he was still out there, because you can see it on the screen. It was like it kept loading and loading and loading, and then boom.
Well, that's the thing. So if you see in one of those clips, they try to sub him, and he's like, "Fuck you, coach! Like, I'm staying in the game. I'm leaving here with something. Like, I'm about to fuck something up. Like, I feel you. For all the sore losers out there, I totally understand. You want to, you know what I'm saying, go out with a bang. I get it, but I mean, like you said, JD, like 12 of 18 on third down, bro. 12 of 18. That just tells you what type of football game it was. And Bama was like 3 for 5 on third down. And I mean, look, we all saw the play from Ryan Williams, who, by the way, I didn't know if y'all knew he was 17 years old. But yeah, he's 17. Yeah. I mean, just incredible play. So but it still wasn't enough. So that's all I wanted to talk about from week 6, to be honest with y'all. I'll open up the floor though. Sosa, did you see anything from week 6 that was, I mean, interesting other than the Bama loss? Oh, you're muted.
My bad. My mom had called me.
No, you're good.
My mom called me real quick. Last week, what my biggest takeaway is over the last couple of weeks? This Big Ten travel stuff is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It is an issue. Like, it is definitely an issue for kids, bro. Like, and I don't ever want to blame stuff like that, but this, like, traveling west to east, east to west, it's an issue. We can look at the results of the games. I mean, and I think it's something that no one took into consideration. Y'all weren't expecting me to go here, right? Y'all were like, what the fuck? Y'all weren't thinking.
No, but it's real.
It's a real thing. I think that like this Penn State game today, the variance with these teams traveling from west to east and east to west, it's there. It's evident. The home teams are winning. Or no, the home teams are winning. Like, they're just and it's on both sides. So again, I think that's my biggest. That's like the biggest thing from the last 2 weeks, because we finally getting to see these teams go take the trips, and it's like, man, like, these road teams are losing. They're pulling up and losing. So
I'll be more interested in this. Like, I think this Penn State is a very good barometer of that, because, like, I don't expect USC to go up to like Minnesota and be good with like that weather and those playing.
But then they did the same shit in Michigan. They lost at Michigan. They got
Michigan in September is still pretty nice. Like, it's not like they're going up into like a.
Yeah, I'm not talking about a weather standpoint.
Oh,
I'm talking about like just
the time zones.
The time zones and the kids having to adjust. I think we think it's easy. I think that like when they made the schedule and stuff, they thought it would be easy. And I think that's a definitive issue. That's just, again, like that. It's not about like home or away or anything like that, or like weather. It's just simple travel and wear and tear on the body and like how you adjust. Go ahead, JD.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say that's a great point, because we haven't seen it before. We don't have data points on this. And especially when you're a younger kid, it's going to affect you. The coaches haven't really gone through it, unless you're coming from the NFL, which most of the coaches don't, right? They go the opposite way. They go from lower levels up. For example, Cal, okay, they were on game day late last week. They had a great game. Now they're on the road again. They're traveling 83% of the distance around the Earth this year. 83% all the way around the globe.
And
like,
they're not even
unheard
first. They're not even
Yeah.
first in like distance traveled. I think UCLA is. Like they had to go to Hawaii, they had to go to LSU, they had to go to Penn State already this year.
Mm-hmm.
And people expect these teams to perform well. That makes, I'm telling you, that is the biggest mistake that I've seen made from teams. They're like, cool, we want the money. Yeah, well, you're gonna have to lose a lot of sleep and you're gonna struggle on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and we're talking about college kids, so who
And
knows
then-
how many of them went
then
on a
on top of
heater on
this-
Thursday night, Wednesday night? Who knows?
Like a game like this, like Ohio State and Oregon is going to be a dogfight. Like it's going to be a battle this week. And then Oregon has to go to West Lafayette on a Friday night
Mhm.
game. Like they lose a day of rest too. That's the stuff that has to be taken into consideration going forward. And you can't be requesting that of kids. Like I don't care about the money value in getting a Friday night game that no one's going to really watch unless it's close by the end of it. Yeah, that's a good point, Sosa.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say that would be a great thing to watch. I mean, we got 2 time zone changing games that we'll go over today. But yeah, go ahead, Sam. Uh-huh.
And then I'll say one more thing to kind of close out week 6 review. We ended last week's show kind of saying this had a 2007 vibe to this season. We just needed, we hadn't seen any of like the upper echelon teams fall. We saw 2 of them fall last week. Miami almost fell as well. It's going to get wild. I think there's going to be more trip mines going forward. Buckle up. There's going to be multiple 2-win, maybe even 2-loss, maybe even 3-loss teams in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I agree. JD, you got anything before we go on to the slate?
Just another thing looking for. Yeah, college football has changed a lot. It's not new this year, but the clock rules, and of course they added the 2-minute what they call timeout, not a warning.
2-minute timeout. Yeah, don't get sued.
But the continuation of that, the games are different, man. You add on the travel, then you add in like some of these teams, again, they're just sitting on the ball. Like Vanderbilt's doing it, Penn State's been doing it. Like they're going to say, we're going to score here, and then this is going to be our only possession of the quarter, and you're probably not going to score because our defense is better than yours. So it's just become way more like the NFL with the travel and with the clock schedule, which could be good, could be bad, whatever. It's just as long as you're handicapping, you got to factor this stuff in that you wouldn't factor in years before.
Right, exactly, 100%. So that was a great week 6 review. So we'll go ahead and get into the slate because again, we're gonna have a lot on this slate. This one's good. We'll start, I guess, with a good matchup. I mean, it's huge for Big 12 implications, but it's like one of the lesser matchups of the day. We got Kansas State. My boy Avery Johnson, white Avery Johnson, not Dallas Mavericks Avery Johnson. He's going to Colorado and Boulder. Colorado obviously coming off of a bye, after that huge win at UCF. I mean, being a 14.5-point dog and then basically beating the brakes off of UCF. But they probably are fraudulent. We saw what happened in Florida last week. So KJ Jefferson, another candidate for www.indeed.com. All right, it's about that time, brother. You know what I'm saying? Dust that resume off. You're going, what do they say? They're going pro in something other than sports. That's you, my friend. So now Colorado is a 3.5-point dog at the Cribbo. And we're going to see this trend often today where, there's a lot of home dogs. So we'll start with JD. How are you feeling about this matchup? Because this one, like I said, has big Big 12 implications on it today.
Yeah, fantastic matchup. The Big 12, it's just every matchup is so close, right? Every matchup so close. I think Colorado got to the point where they've been undervalued. And it was a few weeks ago, I'm looking at that. There's just some interesting lines. Like I believe they opened the opening line for Baylor. I had to write that game up on a Monday, and I'm like, it's kind of odd. Like, is everyone buying Baylor? And then it turns out Baylor's not that good. So it's not really a Baylor thing. It's just kind of like just some Colorado fatigue, especially in the market. People capitalized late last year on just hammering Colorado, knowing that the public money was going to come in on them and then taking the other side. Colorado's been legit. I noticed a few weeks ago they were first in tackling grade over on PFF. I said, is this a mistake that Colorado defense we all know and love to fade first in tackling grade? And I don't know. You watch the games, it kind of matches up. They struggled tackling that one kid on North Dakota State in week 1, but look what North Dakota State's been doing, man. I mean, we all know by now they'd be like a top 35 team if they were in the FBS. I mean, that's a serious program. Let's be real. So I hate to say it, but I am kind of buying Colorado. Of course, you're going to get tested here against Avery Johnson. You struggle a little bit with the dual threat quarterbacks, but no one can deny when you give Shedeur Sanders time in the pocket, he will pick you apart, especially at home. If you're playing like a Nebraska or what have you, if he doesn't have time, he's going to struggle and look bad if he's overmatched, if the rest of his team's overmatched. But there's no denying the kid's talent. There's no denying he's got great wide receivers. And Kansas State has not put any pressure on the quarterback. Let's go ahead and pull up the numbers here. They are 123rd in passing explosiveness allowed. So you're letting teams like Tulane with a freshman quarterback pick you to pieces. Your secondary hasn't been very optimal. I'm thinking Colorado still might be slightly undervalued here.
Okay. All right. I like it. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, I unfortunately JD picked Oklahoma State in that matchup with Kansas State, and Alan Bowman, another Indeed candidate. Please get a job. Sosa, go ahead.
When Ollie Gordon got a DUI, did the Monstars take his talent with him?
Dude, I mean,
what the? I'm sorry, I know this is completely off topic, but you brought him up. The 30 for 30 for that's gonna be beautiful. I don't know what the fuck's going on with him. But again, JD has basically expressed my sentiments that I shared 2 weeks ago when they played UCF. Everybody's talked about KJ Jefferson like we don't know he's just some overweight kid who got lucky. I'm being honest with you. I never thought he was good at any point, and I think that NIL is getting kids' names out there and getting them paid that should not be, right? And again, at the end of the day, it's about opportunity. You get the opportunity, whatever you do with it is on you. Now, in regards to Colorado, I agree with everything JD said. I mean, they're not giving up points in the second half. It sounds good to fade the defense, and they give up chunk plays and they give up yards. But to what you also mentioned, that bend and not break mentality and strategy is actually very effective in college football, especially when you have an offense that can get you points. That's why when you hear like these guys in the after the games, there's certain games where Shedeur and them know we got to put up 35 or we're not getting out of here even being competitive. We have to go out there and execute an offense, and if we don't, we're going to lose the game. So I'm 100% with JD. I like Colorado to win at the Crib today, win outright, no questions, no issues. I think Travis Hunter does his thing. I think Shedeur performs well. I mean, we've seen subpar teams and quarterbacks perform well against Kansas State. I think there's just an obsession with the purple jerseys or something that just continuously has people believing in them. I don't think they're a good program, and I also think that Colorado has a legit chance to maybe win the conference. I mean, the offense is good enough to compete with anyone, and if the defense stays opportunistic, I think that they can, or not necessarily just opportunistic, just make sure that you don't give up a touchdown on every drive. And you're going to give yourself an opportunity because the offense can go fast. They got a little bit of a run game, and the offensive line has gelled much better as the season has gone on. And that's my final thought is this. When people see teams starting out slow, which happens to a lot of programs across the country, especially when there's enormous turnover on the roster, they're immediately like, oh, this is a repeat of last year. But if you've watched Colorado, they've developed well on both sides of the ball, and they are getting better as the season goes on. So you can say whatever you want about Deion as a coach. You can have whatever criticisms you want. If you watch this football team, they are not the same program that they were a month ago because the players now have experience playing alongside each other, and they know their identity as a football team. So those are my thoughts in regards to this one.
Absolutely. Sam, how you feeling?
I'm not going to add too much more to it because JD and Sosa have said pretty much everything I would want to say. I like the way the trenches have developed and improved throughout the year. Colorado moneyline plus 128 is an official play for me.
All right. Anybody else want to go official on anything? I don't got nothing on this one. I mean, I was looking at Avery Johnson's rush yards. It got up to like 70. I know Colorado is going to play a lot of man. Shiloh is back. The least favored Sanders in the household. So, maybe he can prove himself and rise up the rankings. But Yeah. Did anybody else got anything? Because I'm a little cautious with this one. It could go either way for me. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Well, we'll be interested to see this one though, because this is going to be a late night one. So a little former Pac-12 after dark. So with Colorado. So we'll see what happens. But we'll get into the heavyweights now. All right. Penn State going, like Sosa said, across the country to USC, who, I mean, Zach Branch had a first down, hit him straight in the damn face mask, and he dropped the ball. Everything that could have went wrong in that game went wrong for USC. And, I think they're going to be reeling. I think they're going to try to improve upon, what happened last week. Obviously, this is a game that's been circled on the calendar. It should have been all year long. So it happens. But I want to start with Sam. How are you feeling about this matchup? Because this one also has implications. If Oregon comes through today, Penn State might need this as a must win. So how are you feeling?
This is the fraud off. Sosa, I think it was maybe week 2. We didn't really get into it, but just threw out a question. Who do we think is more overrated, James Franklin or Lincoln Riley? And Roddy and I both answered it opposite ends. I think Lincoln Riley is far more overrated than James Franklin is. I've always viewed James Franklin as like they're not better than Ohio State, they're not better than Michigan. So like they've done everything they can or they've done everything right to be like right under those two teams. And I think their trenches are better. I think they go across the country. I think they sit on the ball, protect it, and rely on that running game. We're going to need to see something from Drew Aller at some point, but I don't think he needs it today. I trust Penn State's defense, even though they had to bus an extra hour to a different airport to take off and get to the game today. I'm going to take Penn State minus -3.5. I think they're a little overrated though right now. I don't think they're the 4th best team in the country.
Okay. All right. I can see that. I can understand. Sosa, how you feeling?
Man, all I can think about is Sam Darnold making that throw in the Rose Bowl and fooling us all. That's all I can think of when I see this game. Listen, Sam said everything. But this is a fraud off. This is a diamond tester classic here. That's what we're getting here. Everything y'all said, he said is true. Penn State's going to try to dominate in the trenches. That has been advantageous to the teams that have beaten USC. There was a team that couldn't beat USC, but we're not going to go there. The under is probably what I lead in this. I fuck with Miller Moss, but his name's still Miller. So I'm not.
Millie Mose. That's what I call him. Millie Mose.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, he had a decent game last week. I think again, like everything that could have went wrong in that game, and then you're playing against the cult leader that is PJ Fleck. Like this was a lot of things working against them last week. So
you don't like row the boat. I love row the boat first and foremost. But no, I'm official on the under. I'm official on the under in this game. Like I 100%.
Nah, if my coach comes up to me and I have to say I feel an elite, coach, like that's kind of weird. But JD, how you feeling about it?
Yeah, so speaking of row the boat, I love it too. But you might need to get some buckets to get some of the water they're letting on a little bit as well. But no, the thing that I took away from that game, I mean, basically. So Lincoln Riley, I mean, yeah, let's call it out. It's more than just like being on watch. Like the dude is 11-9 in his last 20 games. Like it's just straight up like they haven't been good for a while now. But I'm more so kind of liking USC this year in general. So I was on the sidelines for their Wisconsin game, and like it wasn't going great. They were making a bunch of dumb penalties, but just totally dominating everything about that game. Of course, Wisconsin's not good. But it kind of, to me, there's just some buy signals with him bringing in Dan Tomlin as the defensive coordinator. I think that's a huge shift in the trajectory of where Lincoln Riley's headed. I I played a few things earlier in the week. I played USC plus 5.5, more so on the travel angle. Sosa's talking about Penn State's been at home for 4 straight weeks, hasn't been tested at all. You're at least going to get tested by USC, right? I mean, very surprised if it's a blowout. It's come down. It's at 3.5 now, so don't like it as much because Penn State, usually what they do, right? They handle business against these mid Big Ten teams. And what you have to do for this game is place. Is USC a mid Big Ten team, or are they near the elite? I think they're probably somewhere in between right there. So that's why it's not a super confident read. I did play the under 50.5. I like that. So both teams aren't playing super fast. Penn State, they're outside the top 100 in plays per minute. Neither offense has been explosive. Penn State wants to be efficient. They don't want to be explosive. They don't want Drew Aller throwing the ball 40 times. They do not want to get in that game script. And I think they can control it. My big takeaway from last week, so they held Minnesota to 10 points in the first 3 quarters, and then Darius Taylor took over in the 4th quarter. 3 of USC's best players, Jacoby Covington at corner, Anthony Lucas at defensive end, and then Eric Gentry, who's been an absolute beast, causing havoc. He's an edge linebacker player. All 3 of those guys were hurt. So Lucas and Covington practiced a little this week. They might be back, but Gentry's out, and that's a huge loss. So what I'm trying to say here is I do think Penn State will run the ball. I see Nicholas Singleton, his rushing yards is in the low 70s, 74.5 on DraftKings. That's not too bad. He could have played last week. They set him out. Why'd they set him out? Because they didn't need him. They're playing UCLA, and they're saving him for games where they're going to need him, and I do think they're going to need him here. I do think they can control the ball. I do see a lot of rushing attempts and kind of a low-scoring contest. So Nick Singleton overs and game under.
Yeah, I was waiting for Nick Singleton's line to come out. I'm definitely taking that as an official one. And then I'm also taking Zach Branch. I mean, his receiving yards line is at 34.5. I like that. I think if you're Lincoln, you have to think in these big matchups, get the ball to your playmakers. Like, that's one thing I feel like he does know, regardless of however, we feel about him and him being fraudulent. I think he knows you got to get the ball to your best players on your team. So I expect for Zach Branch to get a lot more targets. I think he had like 4 in total, and he had 10 yards last week. Obviously, I said, the pass that hit his face mask and he dropped. So I think he's going to get more targets. I think they're going to try to open up the playbook a little bit more. So I like Zach Branch, over 34.5 receiving yards. And then I'm riding with the fellas. I'll take the under 2. So that's a tail pick. Anything else you boys got before we move on to the other heavyweight matchup? All right. Sam, it's time. Now, I will go on record saying I think this is going to be the best game of the day. I know there are 2 other matchups we're going to talk about. I think this is going to be the best game of the day, personally. The vibes are there. The shit talking is there. Anything you could ever want with this matchup is going to be there. So you got the Mississippi Rebels going into Death Valley at 7:30. Sosa and Sam's boy B. Kills. Oh, and JD's boy too. He's a Notre Dame guy. 16-0 and night games in Death Valley. 16. Damn. Okay. I mean, it was a more derogatory your boy. You know how your boy.
Uncle Brian is he's kind of yes. We feel strangely about Uncle Brian. Let's just say that.
Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like the dude your sister brings home that you you don't want her to marry, but you got to be nice to her because she's with him now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
He's like 60.
So
what is that?
I mean, look, if your sister brings home a 60-year-old, you're gonna be a little.
And my response to that is Bill Belichick. Let's move forward.
Oh well, yeah. Oof, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so LSU, another home dog. They're getting 3.5 points. I'm gonna just straight out and come out with it. I got LSU on the money line. I got it earlier in the week at plus 150. I got to see what it's at right now, but I think LSU is gonna win this game. I think this is the best passing offense that Ole Miss has seen. I understand we were on, USC, that being South Carolina last week, but that offense
the game was
anemic.
over as soon as that fake punt happened.
Yeah, yeah, man. And then Dylan Stewart letting off a whole clip, down 24 points. It's kind of crazy. All right, that was kind of wild. But I really believe in this LSU team. I know they have some injuries. Who is that just got ruled out for the season, Sam?
Kyle Parker. He played like 45 snaps, maybe. He's not.
No, okay.
So
Nothing.
So.
Look, as long as Kyron's healthy, Nuss is healthy, Josh Williams, Will, Emery.
Cut the Josh Williams shit. I'm sick of seeing him.
You're out on Josh already?
Let the fucking freshman play, dude. This kid had 2 touches for 170 yards last game. 2 touches for 170 yards. Like, let that kid eat. He's a 10-3 100-meter sprinter. Like Texas 6A all-state, like state champion. Back-to-back state MVPs in the 6A championship games.
But is he 17?
Not 17. I don't care if he's 17. I just don't want that fucking former walk-on playing for me. Like, let the freshman eat.
Damn. Josh is getting crazy strays. Well, how you feel about the matchup, though? Other than the running back, how you feel about the matchup with Ole Miss today?
Matchup overall, I think if this game is played anywhere else, Ole Miss probably wins by at least a touchdown. But it's not played anywhere else. It's played in the best home environment in all of college football. And I'm going to say it. I don't care if it's wrong later. Ole Miss is not a fucking team that walks in the Death Valley at night and walks out with a win. They do not do that. They haven't won it. Haven't won at LSU since 2008. They barely won last year, and it's because we had the worst defense in like the history of LSU's program. As far as matchup goes, I like our receivers. I don't care that we have a couple out. Kyron Lacey's still healthy. Aaron Anderson is still healthy. Xavier Thomas is still healthy, and Mason Taylor is still healthy. And as far as I'm concerned, the offensive line is all still healthy and good to go. So I think that negates Ole Miss's pass rush. I think they padded their stats against some bad offensive lines and bad teams. They're going to fake injuries every 5 or 6 plays to try and stop LSU's momentum. But I think this game needs to play under for LSU to win the game. I think both teams kind of understand the importance of this game. It's essentially an elimination game as far as I'm concerned. Ole Miss still has Georgia. They still have a couple other tough games on the schedule. LSU still has Alabama. They have at Texas A&M. They have some tough games down the stretch as well. So you need to win this game. I think from what I've heard, there's just a build coming to this game. Like, it's building up. It's been like at a boil point. And I think this stadium is going to be rocking, probably pretty similar to what we saw in 22 with Alabama coming to town. Like, it's going to be the best environment you'll see all of college football this year, maybe surpassed by Alabama game later this year. I think Ole Miss's offensive line is going to struggle against guys like Braden Swinson and LSU's pass rush. Defensive line has been the strength of the team. Need to come up with some sacks, need to get a turnover, and need a big punt return from Xavier Thomas. I think in a game as close as this, you need a break like that. And LSU has a tradition or a history of big punt returns against Ole Miss that kind of break this game open and swing it towards LSU's side. So LSU's been good at like these long sustained drives. They haven't been as explosive as last year. Their offense has been really good. Still top 5 in the country, I think. I think they're 2 or 3 in S&P Plus on the season. But they've been able to kind of hold the ball and kind of work the clock. And I think Nuss's dad being a quarterback coach and like him having this pedigree of being a pro-style quarterback, I think he's able to hold the ball and sustain drives and convert third downs. I have one official play in this game. I'm not giving out a total, not giving out a spread. I think LSU wins, but I'm going to go. I think you need a big game from Mason Taylor. His receiving line is at 50.5. I'm going to take over 50.5 on the receiving yards.
Okay. All right. I like it. JD, how you feeling?
I like when Sam mentioned the unders at 62.5, and I don't hate it. I kind of see it playing out a similar way because, I agree. Ole Miss has padded their stats against some bad teams, but the defensive line undoubtedly was massively. They had some huge transfer portal hits there, so I do think they can slow it down. LSU, I know Durham is a freak, but they haven't ran the ball like they should be. So overall, my main takeaway for this game. So there's few single players, offensive skill players who like really changed my handicap that much, Trey Harris is definitely one of them. So I'm kind of leaning towards he doesn't play. My podcast co-host told me there's some rumblings about he's got an Achilles going on, and it doesn't sound great. And he's just been force fed. And if you're force feeding against bad teams, what are you going to do when you got to walk into Death Valley and win the game outright?
He's like 3x like targets, receptions, and yards to the other receivers, right?
Yeah, just force feeding. Like Dart doesn't look at anybody else.
He's probable, but I think after watching last week, he's maybe 70%, if that.
Yeah, and that changes it, because even if he's out there, it just doesn't seem good. Does not sound good. So anyway, the way I'm looking at it, I'm more so just going to take a stance that maybe some of the rumblings are true. Trey Harris, even if he goes, he's not 100%, and LSU's 123rd passing success rate. By now, we all know the way to attack him is in the secondary. So Antwane Wells, you notice DraftKings and FanDuel haven't released lines on any of Ole Miss's other receivers, and I think we know why, because they're probably waiting on Trey Harris news, and we probably won't get it because it's Lane Kiffin. Let's be honest, he puts the whole team on the injury report, and then you take Trey Harris off the injury report when he feels like it. So just a total knucklehead, this Lane guy, but whatever makes him have fun and pass the time. Anyway, so I'm looking for Antwane Wells right now. Underdog put a line out at 60.5. He's the only guy even in the same realm. Yeah, I believe he has 30 targets to Trey Harris's like 65. So if Harris is out or limited, I'm going to take a stance. I'm waiting for DK and FanDuel to drop the 60.5 or something similar for Antwane Wells.
Okay. All right. I love it. And yeah, Kyle Whittingham is in that same boat with Lane. I saw Cam Rising out there for the first snap yesterday, and I was like, take his helmet off. Let me make sure it's him.
Dude, the second snap, he like got his knee rolled up on.
Yeah,
and was like,
I'm telling you,
the game.
He's like, you remember that dude from SpongeBob that's in the body cast that's got that's Cam Rising right there. Another Indeed candidate. Sosa, how you feeling?
You remember when Sam mentioned the two coaches that are coaching in the USC Penn State game?
Mm-hmm.
If there was a three-way Spider-Man meme, Kiffin would be the third guy between those three. Like they're literally the exact same dude. We say it every year. They're going to find a way to lose ball games. Everybody, Jackson Dart for Heisman, that lasted a couple of weeks, right? That stock. It's like Blockbuster. Shit is fucked. He's no chance now, none.
Hey, people were putting him as QB1. I was like,
it's crazy how the season goes. They start talking about people, and I'm just like, what? This is the same Jackson Dart y'all was telling me about last year? Like, what's funny is this: you watch the games this year, or just over the last couple of weeks, you're taking Milroe over Dart. But that's a different conversation. I'll have another day. We're not going to do that. Y'all said everything in regards to the game. I think the game has to go under for both teams to win, right? Like Sam mentioned LSU. I think it goes the same way for Mississippi State. I think or Ole Miss. They want to be explosive, but are you going to have all your weapons at your disposal? Is Kiffin going to get gun shy once the quarterback gives the ball to the other team? Like what are you going to see? Like because he's such an egotistical jackass that he'll just start doing stupid shit just because the quarterback threw a pick. So I like the under. I think the game. I think under is the mission for both teams. That all that I want to go fast stuff goes out the window when you don't have everybody available, and I think that will play into this game.
Right, I feel you. All right, so
Dart's
plays?
home road splits aren't great either, at least for like explosiveness. I'm just looking at it right now. At home, 42-7 TD to INT. On the road, 18-13.
Yeah, I mean, he is a different player, and I'm interested to see the trenches. That's what has kept Ole Miss, no matter how, I guess, great they've looked, over the last couple of years. I think the trenches are still an issue. Like, and if you have a team who's going to challenge you there, as we saw when we played them last year, they had a lot of hype, but I was just like, that offensive line ain't really hitting on nothing, man. So I don't know. So this has been a very for the last since 2020, it's been back and forth. Like each team is flip-flopped. LSU won in 2020, then Ole Miss in 21. Obviously, last year,
That's
we
still one
saw
of
what
the
happened.
funniest games I've ever watched. Fucking Kayshawn going for 300 plus.
Yeah, like randomly, like with nobody in the stands, and it was raining too. I think. Yeah, like it was
Awful
just,
game.
yeah, that just explains 2020 college football in a nutshell. That game. But all right, so we're done with this one. Again, I just want to remind y'all, if you're on YouTube, please hit a thumbs up and comment. You know, we ain't got a lot of comments today. We trying to see the comments. We trying to see what y'all feeling. So, if you're on X, you can also comment and we can show it on here. So it's a new thing. Shout out. So we'll keep it pushing because we got 2 more matchups to go over. The two matchups with the largest implications, I would say, or the biggest names. Texas and Oklahoma linking up in Dallas. I really want to go to that fair, man. I want to go to the game, but I really want to go to that fair. I mean, so we saw in our group chat, we had Ace was putting in like bacon sprinkled cotton candy. Like, I know that's probably gonna send me to an early grave, but I mean, it sounds delicious. I can't lie. So we got Oklahoma getting now 16.5, which I'm trying to stay off it. I'm trying to stay off that narcotic. I want to take the bait, but I don't know. So obviously we know our guy Quinn is going to be back. I don't think that he's going to look as rusty, maybe. I mean, he's been off for 4 weeks. Arch, he did his thing when he was out. But my biggest concern with Texas is they ain't playing nobody. I mean, they played Michigan, but we see what team we're getting with Michigan this year. A team that had to run the ball 400 times to beat USC in the last inklings of the game. So, and that them scoring on that last possession, that was like, oh my God, that was hard labor right there. So look, man, I'm interested to see, and we'll start with you, Sosa, with the Red River rivalry. How are you feeling? Quinn's stomach doesn't hurt anymore. So is this going to be a blowout, or can Oklahoma keep it close?
This is a rat poison game. Yeah, I listen. Texas got a huge game next week. They already opened up as favorites against Georgia. 2.5-point favorites against Georgia. Right?
Sneaky looking head spot.
That's 100% in the back of their minds, right? 2, you see this. Listen, this Oklahoma team, you don't know what you're going to get from them week to week. Sometimes the defense looks outstanding, and that's a credit to the head coach. Sometimes the offense sputters. The offense doesn't look good against good defenses. It's just they're a bag of just they're the box of chocolates from Forrest Gump, right? You just literally have no idea what you're getting week to week with this team because they can compete. This is obviously a neutral site game. I think Texas is the better team. The whole like Quinn Ewers thing, I don't think it's really an issue. Who plays quarterback? I think the weapons are good enough to get it done. 16.5 feels like a lot of points for a rivalry game. I don't know about y'all, but it just feels like way too many points for a rivalry.
It's at 17 now. It's at 17.
It's low-key disrespectful, in my opinion. So, like, what I'm going to look at here, because it's a rivalry game, I'm going to look at the first half to take Oklahoma on the spread. I like Oklahoma in the first half. Keep it competitive. Your juice is flowing. You get on, you come out there, scripted drive. The game's not being played on regular grass, right? It's indoors, correct?
No.
Where's
it's at the Cotton Bowl.
It's at the Cotton Bowl.
Old Cotton Bowl.
It was in Jerry World. I'm tripping. See, so I didn't know where. So yeah, I still think I think the game is. I think first half is what I would look at when you're getting. I think you're getting Oklahoma at like a +9 or a +8. +9 first half. I mean,
9.5. I got 9.5.
I'm saying I mean, it could be. They could really be that bad. Like Texas could come out here and smoke them. Don't get it twisted. They got the skill players to beat you vertically and horizontally. But I want to believe that Venables got some fucking pride, bro. You know what I mean? And he's gonna have the defense out there ready to go. And if he doesn't, I'll eat crow. But in the first half, I believe Oklahoma keeps it competitive.
Yeah, I mean, you saw last year. I mean, they came out the gate, gave Quinn some problems. So We'll see.
They had a good
JD,
quarterback
go ahead.
then, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to be brief on it because nothing's speaking to me. I was considering an Oklahoma play pretty much all week, and then I just kind of think some of their defensive performances have aged a little poorly. Like, okay, Houston 5 yards per play, but by now we've seen enough of Houston. Like, they already benched their quarterback. Team is god awful. And then Tennessee, I mean, it was good showing against Tennessee, but like Tennessee just scored 14 points against a bad Arkansas defense. So, okay. And then Auburn almost put up 500 on you last game. So I was like considering it because their numbers are still great. I still think they're a good defense. Like we've all seen it. They're talented. They got Venables. It's a rivalry game. Like I do think the defense is going to show up. We've seen Ewers sometimes if you put pressure on him, he's erratic. I think they could put pressure on him. Jaden Blue's in the doghouse. So like I'm making all these points and I'm considering Oklahoma. But the fact that we're this close, I haven't pulled the trigger and I'm still looking at negatives. I'm going to let y'all do the talking.
Okay, fair enough. Sam, how you feeling?
I'm on opposite of Sosa. I'm on Texas first half -8.5. I'm more scared of a backdoor cover in this game. I think Oklahoma, like their quarterback situation, not great. Their top 5 pass catchers still out of the games, so like they don't have any receivers. I think we've seen Texas play against teams that struggle to complete a forward pass, and they look really good. Obviously, that'll change as they go along in the season, but as of right now, their pass defense looks good. We'll see whenever they're actually tested. I don't think this is that week. So I think it may be a slow start. Like I agree. How can you not look ahead to next week? Like I understand this is a huge rivalry. It's the Red River Shootout. I won't say the Red River rivalry because that's bullshit. We're not woke on this show. We are the
come
Red
on. And
River
we're talking
Shootout.
about Texas. Like, come on, bro. Like guns.
Yeah, like stop. Just call it the shootout. No one cares. Like, stop being that way. So yeah, I am gonna say Texas +8 or -8.5 first half. I think they're rolling this one, but I am a little bit more nervous about a backdoor cover than the first half.
Yeah, I feel you. I think me and Sosa are gonna be on the opposite side, Sam. I was hesitant, like JD said. I was very hesitant when I saw the first half at 7. I didn't like that. I was hoping for 8.5 by like Wednesday, Thursday. Now that I'm getting 9.5, I feel compelled to move. So I'm riding with Sosa on that one. Oklahoma
I'm
first half
also the worst
9.5.
gambler, coldest gambler on the planet right now. So don't take anything that I say for fucking shit.
There we go.
I do see it though, Sam. Like if Oklahoma has 0 points at half and like 68 yards, is anybody gonna be surprised?
No.
Yeah, well, look, and that's why, my official play, the one that I felt more confident about, was taking Michael Hawkins Jr., Oklahoma's quarterback, over his 29.5 rushing yards. Now, this kid has a bit of talent. I mean, he's young, but when I tell you this kid's got heart, I mean, back-to-back weeks in the Tennessee game and in the Auburn game, just getting absolutely demolished at the goal line, doing a full flip and just putting his body on the line to make sure his team wins. That's what I like to see from our young Bulls, okay? I really appreciate kids who get their opportunity and showing us how much it means to them. So I like his rush yards. It's at 29.5. Like I said, I got it early in the week. It might have went up a little bit, but I think this kid's got a little bit in him to keep it around in the first half. Now, second half, Isaiah Bond and them, they might, get a little loose and it might get a little crazy. So we'll see. But yeah, that's going to be one of the more interesting matchups today. JD, you got something else?
I just want to say I like the Hawkins play. Like, what else are they supposed to do offensively? Like Sam called out, they don't have pass catchers. They're hurt. Their running backs haven't gotten going. You're gonna let Hawkins throw the ball 50 times in a rivalry game against Texas? Probably not. So I don't know what else they're supposed to do. Would not be surprising at all if this kid had 20 carries.
Yeah, like I think he had 14 last week or 2 weeks ago against Auburn. So like he's gonna run, and Oklahoma's offensive line is broken down in some spots, especially against Auburn's pass rush. I don't think Texas's defensive line is like world beaters, but I think he'll have his opportunities and he'll have his moments where his offensive coordinator calls his number. So yeah, give me that 29.5. I think that's a good number. All right. So again, I'll remind y'all one more time, put your comments in the chat on X, on YouTube, like the video, put your thumbs up. Follow us at Pay for Play. Follow everybody speaking on here. Sosa is back, so we are about to get into the big boy. Ohio State going across the country. Anyway, Ohio State is going across the country to Autzen Stadium. The biggest, I think it's the biggest showdown. I mean, you know, the Michigan-Ohio State game has been severely tainted with how Michigan looks. So this is probably the biggest matchup of the Big Ten year. Another home dog. All right. Ohio State is -3 right now. So Sam, I'll start with you. How are you feeling about this matchup? I mean, obviously, Ohio State has a freshman. He's not 17, so he's not going to get any notoriety. But, you know, they got a good team over there. So how are you feeling about them going across these time zones?
I lean Ohio State. I don't like what I've seen from Oregon thus far. They just haven't really shown it. I don't think they've played a complete game yet, and I don't know that Ohio State is the time where you want to be looking for that complete game. Like we saw what Genty was able to do. Granted, he's doing it to everybody, but like stepping up in competition and being able to run for nearly 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think Ohio State wants to run the ball and force feed both their running backs in this one. I think the ground game is what kind of sets it apart for me, and Ohio State -2.5 for me.
Sosa, how you feeling?
Are you sure he's not 17? Anyway,
I checked his birth certificate.
You sure?
I checked it.
I guess they'd mention it every 6 fucking seconds, I guess, on the TV if he was, because that matters or something. Anyway, in regards to this game, I think Dan Lanning is a bozo. I think he's a modern day reincarnation of Ed Orgeron. Like, that's what I look at him as. I think he's a great recruiter, but I think he's kind of stupid. And I'm sorry. Like, listen, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ed won that championship at LSU off the backs of like amazing talent. It wasn't him.
Oh yeah, he was just there.
Right? So like with Lanning, I feel like it's the same way. It's like at some point he'll get one.
His whole goal that year was stay the fuck out of the way.
Right. So I think that like at some point Lanning will get one just because he'll be able to stack so much talent at Oregon that it'll just be undeniable. It'll just be better than everybody from a talent standpoint. I'm of the belief that this Ohio State team is the best team in America. I think that I don't trust Will Howard, but I trust the system. I'm a Chip Kelly guy. Just when I thought he couldn't get any dumber, he went and completely redeemed himself. But, you know, it helps when you get 5-star receivers and you got a good offensive line and a good defense. We're going to point at the fact that Ohio State hasn't played anyone. That's the glaring thing. And neither is Oregon, if we're being honest, right? I don't think Oregon's played anybody. We just seen them play a couple of games that were more competitive than we thought they would be when they got a new quarterback and they're trying to figure out how to use weapons where they're used to going vertical, but for some reason they don't throw deep passes. And I'm still trying to figure that out personally. But I like Ohio State in this one. I think that I've talked about it a bunch. I think it's put up or shut up for Ryan Day. He has to win a championship. All this getting close stuff, and he has to win these games, right? For the first time in a minute, he has an actual game that matters outside of playing Michigan. For real, for us. We watched them last year. Like, did any of the games actually matter until they got to play Michigan? It didn't. None of them fucking mattered. It didn't matter. The teams they played are ass. So to get this matchup on the road, this is the biggest game of his season, arguably maybe his career. He lose this game, they're going to start looking at him differently because you don't get too many of these opportunities. Don't tell me beating Penn State is some great accomplishment in 2020, whatever. So I think that's my thing. I think it's put up or shut up. You either got it or you don't. They done gave you the coaching staff. They gave you the athletes. They gave you everything on defense. I think Caleb Downs the best defensive player in America, but we'll talk about that next year when he can actually be drafted. I'm on Ohio State to win and cover, and JJ is better than Ryan Williams. He also doesn't have red dreads and paints his nails.
There we go. Now, JD, we know where your rooting interest is. Oh, go ahead, Sam, real quick.
I was just gonna. I didn't want to interrupt Sosa, but I'm watching game day right now, and they got fucking Saban on his knees holding kicks for, the Pat McAfee contest. Like, what are we doing with the guy?
Disgraceful.
That's a different dude, man.
What happens when you
not
lose
the
to
same guy.
Vanderbilt?
Yeah, is he wearing a Vanderbilt jersey? What else I got him doing?
Look, that's not the same guy, man. I'm just shocked to watch the progression of that old
He
man.
had a brain transplant, bro.
Look, he's a different guy. I mean, I knew he's had a sense of humor. He's always been like more of a fun guy. We know when business isn't on the line, but like that dude different.
Him and Kawhi are the same guy. A real fun guy.
Yeah, I know.
We got Kirk in the backseat of a car, like broadcasting this show because he's got to get to the Red River shootout. Like, what is going on with this show? We got
man,
Lee, they're trying out Lee until he dies on the desk. I mean,
look,
this is not.
I know he flies private.
I literally think Lee put that in his will. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know it sounds like they're forcing him. I think Lee was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna ride this out till I can't no more, brother."
Yeah, look,
he can't.
I don't blame him.
No, that's the thing. He can't. Like Kirk, what is he gonna do? Kirk's not there to like tell him what he says or what he has to say.
Tougher watching Week 7, Cam Rising or Lee Corso?
Oh, Corso, man. I feel bad for old people when they're just struggling. Like, and you could tell for the last couple of years, he's just like, he doesn't need to be giving takes, man. He needs to be chilling. Like, just let him pick the last game. Like the game that they're at, let him pick that game. Don't let him pick any other games, man.
Just let him put the mascot head on and that's it.
Yeah, like who gave him the key to the city the other day? Was that last week? Like, just let him do stuff like that. Like, don't let him talk, like for real. Like, come on, man. I just yes, exactly what Sosa's doing. Just let him do the little, there we go. And also I wanted to mention before JD goes, Jordan Birch, he was hurt in practice, so he is a game time decision tonight. So how does that make you feel, and how are you feeling about the matchup in general, JD?
I just wanted to say when I saw UCLA Oregon from the sidelines, Jordan Birch was by far the most impressive defensive player from either team, and the most impressive player on Oregon other than Tez Johnson. That fool's a monster. Got to see him up close in the media room after a large human being, fun guy. Anyway, I'm going to be biased, obviously. I'm wearing the Oregon hat. I'm not going to have anything official. My podcast co-host hit Travion Henderson. He opened at like 45.5 rushing yards. Ridiculous. He's up to 58.5, so I guess it's still okay. I do think they're going to run the ball. We know what Chip Kelly's going to want to do in this one. We all know what's coming. Even though I'm biased, man, I think Ohio State's a better football team. I just think they're better. I think they're further along in their curve. Like, yes, Oregon's doing some impressive things, but Sosa mentioned it. Like, you got the talent. Let's see it come together. We haven't quite seen it yet. They're close, but we haven't seen it. Ohio State, like, this is their time. It reminds me of Michigan last year. They're statistically dominant on both sides of the ball. And you could be like, oh yeah, statistics, whatever. Who have they played? Well, going into the year, like, we knew they had the talent. Let's see it on the field. Now we've seen it on the field. Like, we know it's there. They have 2 stud wide receivers. They have a running quarterback who's a veteran who perfectly fits what Chip Kelly wants. He's going to run the crap out of them. They got 2 great running backs. I mean, Oregon's outside the top 90 in EPA per rush. I know you played Ashton Genty, so that skews your numbers, but like, they haven't shown it. They haven't shown they can come in and be physical. And now, if you're best defensive player and your biggest boy stopping the rush and putting the opposing passer in hell, now if he's banged up. So I'm gonna be honest. I mean, if I was an Oregon fan, it's down to -2.5 at FanDuel. I can't believe that number just popped. So that's the way I would lean.
Yeah, I would take that. I'm sorry, JD. I altered it. Like 3.5. I might alter it to 4. I mean, I just think this is, like you said, it's going to be Ohio State's year. They really have to prove it to us still. I'm not going to, just crown them for no reason. But I like the 3.5 at -105. I think it's probably going to be a touchdown game. I don't want to get disrespectful because, again, like, we see this travel is really affecting teams. So I'm going to hold my horses on the 4, but I do think it's an Ohio State victory pretty easily. So anybody got anything else for this game before we get into best bets? All right. So we will let Sosa go first. You don't want to go first. Okay. Sam, CVS receipt. Are we bouncing back? What's the vibe?
We've got 5. Again, the worst gambler on the planet right now. I suck. So maybe it's just full on fade Sam time. If you have been, good for you because you've been hitting up a storm. Got 5 already that we've given out, one for each of the big games. Have 5 more. Bama first half minus 12.5. They have to come back out and play with some fire. Like they just have to. They're at home. I don't think South Carolina is very good. I don't think they can challenge them through the air the way Pavia could. I don't believe in Sellers. So, yeah, I think South Carolina just feels a little detested after a couple losses to upper echelon SEC teams. So 12.5 first half feels pretty easy for Bama. I'll go Clemson minus 20.5 against Wake Forest. Ole Miss was able to put up some points. I think Clemson's offense gets back rolling against a bad Wake Forest defense. I'll go. I feel bad doing this, but Tennessee minus 16.5. I think Nico's a different quarterback at home. I don't believe in Florida's defense, and so I'll also add over 57.5 to that one as well. And then this may be the last time we get it at plus number. So Genty 3+ touchdowns against Hawaii plus 115. That's insane that's the line for 3+ touchdowns for a guy. But Boise State needs to go all in. I don't want to see him sitting after halftime anymore. This guy has a chance to do something that everyone has thought. I mean, this record has been viewed as untouchable. And he has outpaced Barry Sanders through the first 5 games. Play the kid. Let him try to get this record. Like, when is the next time Boise State is going to have a Heisman favorite at any point in this season? We don't know. I don't care really if it happens, but this kid needs to pad the stats, and Boise State needs to go all in on that. Maybe pull him at the third quarter because I know they're going to be killing Hawaii. So yeah, Genty 3+ touchdowns plus 115.
All right, I like it. Who's next, Sosa or JD? Which one of y'all ready? You ready? All right, go ahead, Sosa.
All right, so I got 5 looks in total for today. I've already mentioned the under in the Penn State game, under 51.5, minus 112 on DraftKings. I love it. 2 player props that I absolutely love. We're going to go with T-Mac for 100 ball today against BYU. I think it's their dumbest shit for even having the number under 100. Right? Like for Tetairoa McMillan, T-Mac, arguably the best receiver in America, over 99.5 yards at plus 105 against some Mormons sound criminal. I like Will Shepherd today. Shout out to Jones and Prop. They put me on to him. We're going to remember him for dropping the pass against Baylor. What we're not remembering is that he cashed the passing prop in 3 of the last 4, and he's carved out a role in the offense. I like West. I mean, obviously they're absolutely phenomenal at the wide receiver position. But Will Shepherd is one of the receivers that gives him a different dynamic. All the other guys are fast, quick twitch dudes. He's a big frame receiver who can exploit one-on-ones just with jump balls and just being able to isolate his skill set. I think that Travis Hunter gets a lot of attention. I mean, Travis Hunter's number is 7.5 receptions today. I got to think that Kansas State's first priority is trying to just limit him to some extent. And I think that the other guys eat. I think when you get Will Shepherd at over 38.5 yards, I think it's a great spot. And then the final 2 plays that I like are, I said Oklahoma State or Oklahoma plus the 9.5 first half. And also the other thing I'm throwing out here is I don't know, maybe, Quinn's not as sharp to start the game. Not a couple of weeks off a bye, you know what I mean? Hasn't been hit. What happens if first drive, they hit him? I mean, we seen them start getting happy feet from here and there. Again, this Texas team is loaded offensively. Sarkisian's got the program operating at its best level in 20 years. Right? That's year to year now. We expect them to be good. This is the Texas we envisioned. I think Sark's a way better coach than a Lincoln Riley or Kiffin or whomever. So and what he's done at Texas has shown me enough personally. So those are my plays for today. Couple of props, under And, let's get some money. JD.
There we go. Come on, brother.
Yes, sir. So smaller card for me. I called out while we were on. I like the 2 unders. Penn State game under 50 against USC, and then Ole Miss LSU under 62.5. Especially if the Trey Harris rumblings have any merit, and even if they don't, we talked about why we liked it. Player props talked about while we were on the show. Singleton over 75.5 rush yards. Anton Wells over 60.5 receiving yards. That one I'm waiting on for the Trey Harris thing, because again, I think I hear where the rumblings are, but I'm just gonna wait and see how we're looking at pregame warmups for that one. And again, it hasn't popped at the major books. Other than that, I mean, I got a ton of player props we're on this week, so I'll just tell you my favorite one though from Clemson. Basically all the Clemson props, okay? Because Wake Forest defense, like, it's not bad. It's like it's downright doo-doo. Okay, it's not pretty. Anyway, so Antonio Williams, he's essentially their wide receiver 1. Been a little banked up. Stats have just been like, okay, but efficiency-wise, he's been a monster. Okay, very good football player. And Clemson's offense is moving. They're going to do some damage. So anyway, he's at 49.5 receiving yards. Grabbed that at 43.5 for the week. It's headed up, but like it's still 20, 25 yards too low if you ask me. So yeah, that's my favorite prop. I think they're gonna lay the hammer. If you want to get crazy, they just saw Bryant Wesco, their true freshman wide receiver, the stud. He's essentially been their wide receiver too. He's out. He didn't travel, so that makes Williams look better. Their tight end Jake Brenningstool is at 40.5. I mean, Klubnik's, he might throw for 300 yards. Who's going to catch these passes? So those two probably will.
All right. I love it. All right. And we'll make sure, JD, you share where, everybody can check you out with your personal pod and also with the articles that you're writing for Covers. Again, great information that you're getting out to the people. So we'll make sure the people know where to find you at the end. I got a long list relatively, so I'll go through it. Again, I got LSU on the money line. I think night game, Tiger Stadium. Sam, that hype video. Whew. Hey. That hype video.
Goosebumps had goosebumps for that one.
Hey, that was fire. The commentator by Leonard Fournette, it was fire.
Bug on the commentary. Whew.
Come on. So it was fire. It was fire. I can't lie.
I would agree if I didn't see like 5 other colleges do the same. Go ahead, bro.
It was fire.
Oh,
it's just because of
everyone
matchup,
was
man.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
There we go. See how Sam remixed it? There we go. I got Ohio State early in the week for -3.5 on the spread, -105. Again, I just think they show that they're the better team this evening. Michael Hawkins Jr., Oklahoma's quarterback, over 29.5 rush yards. Like I said, the kid's got heart. The kid got heart, man. I fuck with him. Sam, we've been on the opposite side of this football team for a long time, even though we both hate them. All right. I got the under in Tennessee and Florida. Now, I fully understand that Tennessee put up a 60 ball against probably the worst team in college football, period, either D1, D2, or D3. Okay. And I understand that their coach kicked the onside kick up 30. All right. So I get, where we're at with Tennessee and how they like to do things. But, I mean, you got Dylan Sampson's rush yards his prop is at 108 right now. So that just goes to show you how bad Florida's rush defense is. But I don't think Florida's going to put many points on the board. Tennessee's receivers, I've seen a lot of people who are breaking down film who are more knowledgeable in the game than me are not saying that it's more Nico. They're saying that it's more the receivers ain't really getting open, man. Like, I know Squirrel White, is a threat. He's a fast twitch guy or whatever, but the receivers have been a little lackluster as well as Nico. I mean, he didn't play well last week, so maybe he bounces back, but I like the under 57. The points are coming down in my favor, so I'm feeling good about that one. Another Georgia Bulldogs under. Okay, I've been trying to avoid it, trying to lie to myself that this offense is going to magically come out and be fantastic one day. But I think, with the pace that Mississippi State runs, like Mississippi State is probably the fastest paced team in the country, and they still only score like 3 or 4 points or 3 to 6 points like per half. So if you're giving me under 30.5 in the first half, I'm going to take that. Another look ahead spot. Now, we heard rumors of some guys being hurt. There's rumors in the Athens streets that Carson Beck might be a little banged up. I'm not gonna say, it's for sure, but I'm just saying he might be a little banged up. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna take the under in that matchup. Also, UAB, the UAB Blazers are the 128th. Let me get this right. The 129th team against the Rush. And guess where they got to go? To Army. And they're number 1 against the Rush. All right. I got them in the first quarter. If you want to take the first half, if you want to take the full game, Army about to run all over these boys, okay? Trent Dilfer, dead duck in the water, man. I mean, ever since he said this ain't Alabama, not good. And then the last few, I'm riding with the boys on the under in the Penn State game. I like Zach Branch over his 34.5 receiving yards. And then I also have Oklahoma plus 9.5 in the first half. And then I promise my card is almost over. I really want to take the BYU. I really do. I mean, I know T-Mac he's going to get his yards, but I want to take the BYU, but I'm going to lay off it.
We need Arizona to win this week so that the game against Colorado means something. So I'm cheering for Arizona with ulterior motives and purposes. It has nothing to do. I need for Arizona to win today so that we set up a game that matters on the books against Colorado. Again, I'm very, very narrative driven. Sorry.
Okay. That's all right. So look, it's great to be honest. That's all we care about here at Pay for Play. Honesty. All right. Now, again, we want to thank our guest, JD. We always love when he's on the show. We're hoping to have him back before the end of the year. Thank you so much, brother. Please let the people know where they can find you everywhere.
Yeah, guys, we just got a new podcast feed. It's called the CFF All Access podcast. Please look that up. Like and subscribe would be huge. We're giving out 3 free copies of CFB 25 if you leave a review. So I'll retweet that one more time with how that looks. But anyway, yeah, we're starting a new one. We go live every Monday talking college fantasy. And if that's not your thing, we do a little podcast. We do 20 props in 20 minutes on Friday mornings. So that one's out. We went 3-0 last night. I was thinking when Sosa was talking about Tet, why is this line under 100? That's what we did with Ricky White last night. It's like the props. It may look high, but it's still like 25 yards too low. So give that a look. We're new. That's really what we're pushing right now. So anyway, I love being on, man. This was a great time. It was great seeing you all, and I just want to win some bets as well. But even if we don't, we will. But even if we don't, it was a good time.
It's about the friends you made along the way, man. There we go. I love it. Sosa, Sam, you got anything before we get out of here?
Another great slate next week.
I'm still on the same shit as last year, bro. I need this shit to hit.
Another great slate next week. Looking forward to that one. Got. I think I have to rep Indiana next week. Rep some Indiana Hoosier gear.
Okay, all right.
Not a homer at all.
I mean, it's in the state. It's in the neck of the woods. Yeah.
My mom cheered there. She's a Hoosier through and through. I've never talked college football with my mom, but she calls me now and is like so excited about Indiana and what Sig is doing for the program. So, love to see
connecting family bonds, reconnecting family bonds. Look, this is beautiful. Look at what college football can do, man.
Come on, man.
Look at this. It's just beautiful.
It's the sport of love. It's the sport of love.
What happens when they lose?
Oh yeah, it's not gonna be as good.
She's still gonna be excited. They're already bowl eligible.
Oh yeah, they are.
Speaking of game day, they just showed up. They just showed like a little stat. Teams that haven't trailed this year: Texas, Army, and Indiana. Indiana hasn't trailed all season.
That's pretty fire, man.
He wins.
I'm ready.
Google him.
Hey, like I said, my weekend's great. It's good to go. As long as Notre Dame doesn't do any foolishness today, it'll be a beautiful weekend. It was Niners, Dodgers, Notre Dame. That's like, oh man, I can't explain what this feels like right now.
Look, you explained it to me, but we won't put that on wax today.
They can't explain it, man. It's like a
look, man.
Now. No.
Come on now. All right. Follow us on Twitter at Pay for Play. Follow Sosa at Sosa Picks. Follow Sam at Dumb Brain Picks. Follow JD at Yonker CFB. Please like the video, share, subscribe, do everything to support us so we can get paid for play. All right. We appreciate y'all for joining up. We will be back next week with an even better slate. My nerves will be shot again. So maybe I'll have some tequila on the show live, and we'll talk to y'all next week. All right. Deuces.